Hi, today we're going to use the Akai Force to make a brand new key group sound that's totally unique because we're going to use vocal samples that we record ourselves with a microphone. It's going to sound like this. Hi, my name is Joe, and if you're new to the channel, then welcome. And if you've been following me for a while, then welcome back. It's great to see you again. It's been a long time since I've made a video, so the summer just kind of got away from me, so I'm hoping to kind of change that pattern and get back into making some videos again. With that said, this is going to be a fun experiment, I think, so let's get right into it. Okay, so let's begin by taking some vocal samples. I'm just going to come in here into the sampler app. And I've got this set for a 10-second sample, which should be good. And I've got it set to input 1. I've just got my microphone coming into the back of the Force. So the first sample I'm going to take is just kind of some white noise. I think sometimes sound a little more organic with some white noise in the background. So I'm just going to record 10 seconds of kind of a hissing sound. All right, we've got that. Let's go ahead and name this one Hiss. And we'll just keep that sample. So for the other sample, I'm just going to record myself singing kind of an ah sound. And I'm going to do a couple cheats here to kind of help out with this. The first one is I've got hype synth loaded here on track 1. And it's just set to like an init patch. I'm just going to play a note to kind of help keep me on pitch where this should be. I want it to be a constant pitch. And to help with that even more, I'm going to come over here and I'm going to add Air Vocal Tuner. And we'll check out the settings for this. We've got detection default, which I think is fine. Voice range, I'm going to set this to low, and C major should be fine. And I think this will just kind of help me stay in pitch a little bit. So let's go ahead and grab this other sample. And let's go ahead and just name this one Ah. And we'll go ahead and go into edit mode now. I want to treat these samples just a little bit. So I think let's normalize both of these. So I can just come up to process and normalize and hit do it. Give me a nice full strength signal for the hiss. And we'll do the same thing for this sample. The other thing I think I want to do is find some good loop points for this ah sample. I mean, it is a 10-second sample, and I don't really anticipate holding it down too much longer than that, but just in case, I think let's go ahead and do it. So I'm going to turn this loop mode to forward, and let's go ahead and let's set a start point in here. Maybe in here somewhere where the volume is a little bit more consistent, which can be our start. And let's see here, let's choose a loop point. I've got the loop lock turned off, by the way. And maybe just try an endpoint in here somewhere, I guess kind of where the volume is sort of consistent. And let's give this some amount of crossfade, and let's just see how that works. So I'll flip over here and preview this. And I think that's not too bad. I mean, some of this is going to get covered up by effects and other things like that. So let's roll with this, and we can come back and edit some more later if needed. So next I'm going to create a key group track. And I'll hit Shift Clip to come into my program edit. And let's just start assigning these samples. So I'm going to start with the ah sound. And let's see how that plays. So that sounds okay. It doesn't really sound like a pad. So first let's start adjusting the envelopes here. For the amp up loop, I'm going to add some attack to it here. And add some release. that's a nice starting point. Let's move over to the filter envelope. So we've got a ton of choices for filters here. In fact, there's even some called vocal down here at the bottom and some different models. So I think I want to try something maybe that I don't normally use on this. Let's try vocal 1. Maybe add a bit of resonance. And let's give that filter some envelope as well. So we'll turn up the envelope depth, and we'll give this some attack as well, and maybe some release, and maybe even bring down the sustain a bit and give it a little bit of decay. Let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, it does sound a little bit glitchy there on my loop, so we'll come back into the sample editor and let's just adjust these loop points a bit. I think I'm going to try changing the loop start point. I think that might work a little bit better. Cool, let's add some effects to this. So I think I want to start with, in the EQ filter section, just a parametric EQ. And I'm going to use this to kind of shape the sound a little bit, kind of change the formants of it around a bit. So I think I definitely want, this sounds a little nasally to me. I think I want maybe a little bit more on the low end and maybe scoop out some of the mids. So we'll start on the low end. Cool, I think let's bring in some of that hiss at this point. What did that sample look like? So here's the hiss. I think this is probably long enough, it seems like, so I'm just going to change the start point on this to where it doesn't have such an abrupt volume change. So we'll bring this in maybe to about here. And let's go back and add that to the sample. So we'll come back to samples. I'm going to go to layer 2, and let's put the hiss in. I'm also going to come over here and maybe adjust these levels a bit. So I think we can turn layer 1 level down just a bit, and let's turn this hiss down pretty far, actually. That sounds good. Another thing we could try here, let's add another copy of this sample, and let's transpose this up a little bit. So we'll bring this up, either a fifth or an octave I think should work pretty well. Let's try an octave, so 12 semitones. And I'm also going to bring the level of this way down. Cool. Let's come back to the effects. I think I want to add a chorus to this, kind of thicken it up a little bit. So let's actually try the air ensemble effect. And maybe we can just pick a preset from here. Let's try wider. That sounds pretty good. I think the hiss is a little bit loud for my taste at this point. So let's come back here and we'll bring the level down on layer 2 even more. Just want a little bit of that. add some more effects here. I think in slot 4, I want to do a delay effect, and let's do this air diffuse delay. Let's see, so we can start with the 16th note. I think that'll be fine. What I want is to bring the diffusion on this like way up, and the mix is okay at this point, I think. So let's see what this sounds like. I think let's bring the feedback up some on this. Have it ring out a little longer, and maybe we can go with a longer decay time on this. Let's try quarter note. Definitely getting there. I think I want to adjust this parametric EQ a little bit more. So let's maybe take off some of the highs as well. Get the high frequency set at 6 kilohertz. Let's bring the gain down on this some. And maybe the same thing for the high mids. I think maybe the low mids needed a little bit more adjustment. I've already got them up pretty high. So I'm noticing as I go up the keyboard, that filter is working pretty hard on the upper register. So let's come back into the filter area here, and let's turn up our, actually I think this is in the modulation section. Yeah, keyboard to filter. Let's turn this up some. We won't turn it up all the way, but we'll turn this filter key tracking up maybe about halfway. Yeah, I like that. So I think also, let's come into this LFO section and maybe just add a little bit of LFO to that filter to give it some movement. So let's see, LFO to filter. We can turn this up a bit. Probably just want something kind of subtle here. And that's good, but that's way too fast. I just want this to be really slow. So I'm curious if we come into the mixer here and just kind of check the levels on this sound. It's actually pretty quiet, so I think we can get away with coming back over here to the global area. And let's just bring the level on this up some, maybe a couple dB. We can also do this a little bit at the sample level. So maybe I can bring layer 1 up just a bit more, and then just a little bit more on the other layers to compensate. I think the hiss is still a bit much. can maybe give it just one more effect here in this slot. So let's see, after that, let's try a harmonic effect maybe. Let's try the air lo-fi, but I want to do something just kind of subtle with this. Maybe we can start with a preset.